A young lady wrote me a beautiful thing on integrity, and she signed it to John Roger and to us in celebration. And I got this and I started reading it. And have you ever read something when you get through, you have a feeling inside that says, gee, I wished I would have written that? Nobody's ever had that feeling up here? I have it all the time. When I do have that, I usually sign it anonymous though. So now you know who is the author. Whenever you see something that says anonymous, that's me. If you believe that, you're going to believe the rest of this stuff too. Okay. What you should do though is when you see these things that are anonymous, just realize that that's your name. And it's really yours because whoever wrote it from the universal source of where everything comes from. And in truth, in the great big us, and the I am that is real big, it is also the same one who wrote whatever they did right. So if I say something here, and you come to that place that says, I wished I would have said that, you did. You just used my mouth, and I'm using this person's paper, and they're typing. So this person wrote this, and I'm going to be interspersing little words of wisdom, hopefully. I marked a few if I can find them. When we started doing integrity, people would come up and they would say, what is integrity? In fact, we have jackets that say, what is integrity? And it begins with you. And people come up and ask, and we give them this big piece of paper that explains it. Here it is. What is this thing called integrity? It is unseen, unspoken, yet universally binds man to man. It binds those of loving into God's own. Integrity, to me, has nothing at all to do with you. It only has to do with me and what I'm going to do inside of me, in my life, and with what happens with my life and me, and you may have absolutely no part at all in it whatsoever. People feel that integrity is something that's outside of them. And because it's outside of them, they go out to that place they call integrity and step outside of their own integrity into ethics and morals and ego issues, instead of coming back and maintaining the place inside of you. Many words come to mind to describe integrity: trust, hope, faith, endurance, unification, a remembrance of the perfect love available for every man. But what comes through most clearly is actively being those things and becoming more in kinship with them as each day comes along. I think what's going on here is a person saying is, you may not have integrity down perfect the first day, but when the next day shows up, you get a chance to work on it again. To me, it is an inner commitment to live this great gift of love and to not compromise the truth written in our hearts. I think of this in terms of the whole world and everybody in it, that we are responsible for each person no matter how our lives unfold, because in that person is God, and in Him I see me. I feel this in terms of the peoples of this planet, then this country, the state in which I live, my city, neighborhood, and perhaps most importantly, my home, work, my family, and those that I love. All said and done, I think of it mostly in terms of the integrity that I must be true to. It's within my own heart, and from there share what I can with others. I come here with you today and think of the tremendous time of which we are a part. A time when at any moment we, our old ones, and the children of today may not be able to walk this land any longer. That the grace given us could be no more. Where the remembrance of peace and freedom is forgotten. Where nation strikes against nation, family against family, person against person. In it all, it is a misrepresentation of the love, the power, and the glory which is our birthright. In a sense, it is man doing it to God. The good news is that regardless of all those things, serving our fellow man is winning out over such incredible odds. When we hold a consciousness of love, we are also doing it for God in the people of this world. The loving itself is stronger, just to show us that it can be the true leader of our hearts collectively as a people. Everyone who is seeking to better understand and live the truth inside has his own meaning for the integrity of life. I have written out some of what it means to me to share with you this day. It is a world where people can walk among each other as brothers and sisters, where man may live out his days in wholeness and upliftment for all of mankind. It is a land where children need not hunger nor cry for the life that is their beloved gift. It is stepping through this life, following the path of my heart, simply because this is what I am given to use in this world. It is the only thing I have as my own. As I give of my love, I pray it will assist another in some way to find their own a little more surely. This is my true homeland as I walk through this world. It requires of me commitment and courage to stand tall in the face of the storm, to be willing to receive in the times of calm. It asks of me faith in the unseen, the ability to be simply myself in the graces of joy, and to not fear the lessons of pain. It is a recognition that both are our teachers, that the moment is now to be our better self. It means becoming the beloved in each new day, to be the follower of love itself, regardless of what the illusions of the world may say. It is to say, thank you, Lord, for this opportunity to know you more completely with me and working through me in all that I am. It is to use every instance that comes before me to find the Christ loving reaching out in front of me. It means not avoiding my relationship with God, no matter how it comes. He speaks there for me through the peoples of this world, through me, the beautiful country, and through you. It is knowing the fellowship of this in our lives. It means being willing to sacrifice many patterns, beliefs, and securities of this world to better know the place that God has prepared for me. It means, yes, I will live my life without you so you may better follow your own divine integrity. It is being unafraid to say, yes, I will walk with you as myself if this also sheds a light on the path where you find yourself. It is a willingness to welcome you in joy in this new day as yourself into my heart. It is knowing that as I be true to me, I must also be truly a lover of you and God. It is in the bend, the stretch, and in the understanding. It is allowing myself to also be all that I am, both the saint and the sinner, and to know that I am much, much more than that. It is the forgiver and the forgiven alive in my soul. It is the believing inside of me when this world lays out its testers. It is to have faith in the unseen and that it can be manifest through us as we choose back into the way of understanding. It is the giving of my heart and the absolute joy in being able to do so in trust that you are taking care of it by taking care of your own. It is a support which wants for you to be and do those things which you are devoted to in this world. It is being here with you as myself. As I be lifted up, it is automatically given to you. As you walk in freedom, I am that much freer in my life. As you find your own fulfillment, It helps me to know my own. As you know joy, it is part of me. And same back to you, for you and I in love are one. It is being unafraid to say that in your light I see my own. It is opening my heart just one more time, then I closed it. It is believing that there is enough love in this world for everyone, that we are a living representation of this great love. It is the understanding that one man's service and selflessness is a contribution to the gain of every man. It is holding the light for those who may not see it or say they do not need it, and loving them as they find their own unique way. It is looking into a person's eyes and asking within myself, how can I best minister to you, to your highest good, to your joy? It is looking into your eyes and finding the brightness there, and within myself enough to light up the world. It is finding for myself joy in the great love you have given me, right in every person I meet, and a part of the heart of what I give into the things that I do, regardless of if you can be here right now and be happy doing this or not. It is not being afraid of the love I feel. It is risking to walk the path of my inner mountain and to go where I am required to take new courage and strength. It is hoping the same for you in whatever that means for you. It is asking that you and I hold tenderness, mercy, and forgiveness between us as our guide. It is saying how much I appreciate your love. I count on it. I value it. I expect the same from you with me. It is the unconditional understanding that every one of us wants to love and be loved from whatever reference points we have as our lives have spun out with the experiences we have acquired. It is to find within the hurt, misunderstanding, and distance a light shining sweetly to further strengthen the loving with us more clearly as we grow. It is daring to hitch my wagon to the highest star and to not take less to myself than the divine, because it is my heritage. I hope for nothing less than this for you, because it is yours too. It is a trust in the power of love that seeks only to know itself, to make new in the heart of God here on earth, and to come forward through our lives in the fellowship in our hearts. It is communion right here today with you right now. It is the calling inside that when I give to you, I am giving to God, and also to be the giver inside of me. When I say, I love you, and be true to that, it is also to my own self that I am doing this. For there is very little that I have to give unless I be true to myself. It is considering you as I consider myself. It is accepting you in the same way. It is recognizing the great gift we share in you being my friend and I being yours. For all the words written and things said and not said, in a way it is all too soon forgotten, because these are not the essence of who we are and what we are here with each other. As the living, active demonstration present here with each other as ourselves, we are here so much more than words can say. Because love is here, it is the essence which continually lives on forever in us, as us, in whatever we do. It is here, right now, standing with you and loving you, that I find my own integrity. It is in my heart reaching out to you and allowing you to do the same with me. It is clearest to me now, more than ever in my life, that integrity to me is to know that I behold the Christ in you. Isn't that a terrific thing? Then they add a couple little footnotes. This one's by Thomas Merton. We do not exist for ourselves as the center of the universe, and it is only when we are fully convinced of this fact that we begin to love ourselves properly, and thus also love others. What do I mean by loving ourselves properly? I mean, first of all, desiring to live, accepting life as a very great gift and a great good, not because of what it gives us, but because of what it enables us to give to others. People are usually divided into the givers and the takers. Enlightenment is good, but it is not a world set free. A blueprint is good, but it is not a house. A grain of wheat is good, but it is not a loaf of bread. A silent thought is good, but it is not the touch of a loving hand. There is a prayer that is sitting in silence. As we have been traveling around the country talking to people about the idea of integrity and who you are, we found out that what we have given people is a whip, a chain, and a big board, and bows and arrows and guns. Because then they get to shoot each other, called, you don't have integrity, and your integrity is called into question, and all sorts of things like that. Folks, there's no way in this room that I could look at you and tell you what your level of integrity is or is not. But I find people writing people letters around the country accusing them of lacking integrity. Now, since integrity is a personal issue of you inside of you with what you're doing, how can anybody possibly accuse you of something with accuracy and they don't know anything about it? Here's what that's boiling down to. You are not living your life the way that I want you to live it. Therefore, you lack integrity. We got that clear? That's what that is. So when you get the letter that comes to you that says you lack integrity because you didn't pay your bill on time, just write back, paid in full by the word integrity, and sign your name and just send it back to them. Because they want to be paid with integrity, just give them the word and then they can decide the value of it. I know that's cheeky, but after all, that's the game they're playing. Or take the word and break it down and tell them that you're going to send it in sections, and the first part will be gritty. And they're going to have to wait a long time before they get it. Now, if you have integrity inside of you as a being, then very frankly, you could care less. You could care less, meaning you don't care, what the other person thinks of you and your integrity, because they do not have a measuring rod. No one on this planet has a measuring rod for integrity. No one. I'd like to have it. I don't. I've had people try to measure my integrity, but you know what they measure it with? They measure it with their own. Now, while you're in your own integrity, guess what you're incapable of measuring? Anybody else's integrity. So if you're going to measure somebody else's integrity, guess what you've got to do? Step outside of yours to see what yours is, to use as a reference point to measure their integrity, and so you're not doing it with integrity to start with. So no matter how that's being measured, when you get those kind of letters, I got a letter from a couple people about that, and I wrote, I'm sure you don't want this in my file. Put it in your own and send it back to them. I really didn't want their letter in my file. Why? Well, it was an error. They will learn more from it as time goes on. But there is a collective energy, and let's call it integrity. We could call it love. We could call it enthusiasm. But if we call it integrity, it means that each person then gets to go back inside of themselves to see how you are going to live your life in your community and what you're going to do to make your life impactful inside of you as vitality and energy, and how you want that channeled out into the world and the statement you want it to make in the world. We are not going to have 4.5 billion people making the same statement. We're going to have 4.5 billion people making different statements. How is that going to work? If I, as a being, am coming from integrity, and there's something that's sort of amazing that when you see somebody in that, yours knows that. You don't know how much it is. You just know that it's there. It may be 1% or 100%. You just know they've got it. That's all. And you should know that they can slip out of it. I tell people that come to MSIA seminars, look, just because the person sitting next to you is here, do not think for a moment that they are following the same loving philosophy that you are. They may be here to pick up a girl or to pick up a guy because in the movement a lot of good-looking people show up. And I said to one person, for all you know, the person could be here to arrest you. And later on I found out there was a detective in the group looking for somebody and wondered how I knew that. He asked one of the administrators, how did he know I was in here? Because I didn't have the guns, I didn't have any of the stuff, but I was looking for someone, and I was told that they frequented the movement. And I said, what they should have told you is that they come to these meetings and they are not in the movement, because movement don't do things that those people do. We don't do that. Why? Because that'll hurt people, that'll hurt somebody else, and that's not what we're doing. In fact, and this is a hard one, it is better to be harmed than to hurt. It's better to take it to yourself, and I'll tell you why. The spirit of who you are is so dynamic and tremendous that when you take the hurt off someone else and you bring it into you, it is transformed into spiritual energy, and you gain more than just from what you have taken. The other person sees that you took the hurt, and other people see that you took the hurt, and they turn around and shower you with more love, caring, supportive action, until you almost get to the point where you say, hold it. I've got enough. I've got so much I can go for 3 years. Give it to somebody else who's lacking. Give it to the one that I just took the hurt from, because I think they could use some loving in there. That can be nice. And do you know another way to deal with them? Leave them alone. Because they may want to sit and take what's happened and sort it out inside of themselves. And maybe they've done this thing many, many times, and they don't like it. And they finally have gotten a chance to get a good, clean, clear look at it. And that may be the last time you ever see them do it. Don't be in a hurry to get in the way of them coming clear. How do you know the difference? Ask them. How do you ask them? Say, are you okay? They go, oh yes. What if they're lying to you? They have a right to say that. Who knows what okay is? Are we asking, are you 100% okay, which is God? Or are you just 98%, which is an archangel? Or are you just 90%, which is a regular angel? Or are you just 80, which is a high human? Or are you 50, which is just mediocre average being walking around here? Or are you down at 30 where you could use a boost? Now, if we don't know any of that, whatever they say to us is all right. Then we say, if you need something, whatever that is, let me know. I'm going to be nearby. But we can look at people and we can see the stress and the strain on their face. And do you know how we know that? We've looked in the mirror and seen it on ourselves. We've looked and seen the integrity in ourselves, and we look and we see the integrity in other people. We've looked at the times when we said, oh God, if I just had a helping hand. And we look at that person, we know they're in need of a helping hand. And if you do it in the right spirit of just reaching down and giving them a hand, they will, in the spirit of lifting, grab it and pull themselves up, and you don't pull them up. You just give them something and they pull themselves up with it. It's the story of Nasruddin Mullah, who was in a lake and was floundering. Along came a man, and a man threw him a rope, and Nasruddin Mullah reached out and grabbed the rope and pulled himself in. And the man said, I saved your life. It's wonderful, I saved your life. And Nasruddin Mullah is going, yes, I'm so happy you saved my life. It's wonderful. Yes, yes, I love it. It's wonderful. And the next day the man said, remember, I saved your life. And Nasruddin Mullah going, yes, you saved my life. I'm so glad. And after 3 months of this man telling him every day he saved his life, they were walking by the stream one day. Nasruddin Mullah ran and jumped out in the water. And the guy said, what are you doing? He says, don't throw me a rope. This is how you found me. Leave me alone. Now, there's a lot of truth in that, isn't there? You saved me, shut up. I'm saved. You keep reminding me of what happened 3 months ago. I'm trying to live my life right here, today, now, and you keep telling me how grateful I've got to be because you saved me. Somebody asked me, they said, what happened to Nasruddin Mullah? I said, well, once he got up off his knees from the water, it was only hip deep, and he walked out. You just make up these answers for people if they need to have these things. You know, that isn't even the story. The story is, the story is this other part, not this part of, well, tell me all the details. They miss what's going on. That's the beautiful thing of Jesus Christ when he told the parables. I'm glad he didn't have some of the people I know sitting there, because they're going to say, well, what kind of clothes did the guy have on anyway? I mean, did he have extra money left over? Was there any kids at home? I don't know. How could he do it anyway? And you have to catch the parables. You have to catch these things as they come out of a person. And when you catch them, it's the same way that we're talking about integrity. Somehow you catch it when it comes out. You catch it when you see it. I was in New York at a literary meeting, at an integrity meeting with people who were giants in the field. They have written big, thick books. That meant to me they were a giant in the field. One guy was really little and real small, and I wondered how he could even carry the book. And he'd written this great, big, thick book, and he said, I'm the author of that. And I looked at him, and I was going to say, liar. That was just a spontaneous type of statement. I was really thinking in my mind, you sure do think big. And one of the other people that I have more trust with said, no, the person wrote the book. I said, when on earth did they find time? He said, this is their first night out. So I thought, oh, and it's at a meeting where they're introducing me, and the first night out, and I've got to be the entertainer. The person later on said it was one of the worst nights he'd ever been at. I felt so good to think that the first night out he would remember forever. Instead of thinking, boy, this is really a nice night. Most people, after they listen to me for a while, they're either very comfortable or they don't care, or they don't know what's going to happen next. I got news for you. I don't know what's going to happen next. Why not? Why should I prepare hours and hours worth of information to people who are going to walk out this door and within 30 minutes be thinking of something else entirely different and not do any more with this information than just that. There you go. Some of you are saying, you judged us. No, I didn't. I just made a statement about what I think you're going to do. Now, what your job is to do is to make me a liar by going out and spending the next hour really considering it. And then you get to make me wrong. John Roger was wrong. We've spent almost an hour and a half on it, even more than he even said we would. And we can do it better than he can. Great. If you do, and you can do it better, form groups. Here comes the hook. It's the commercial time. And let's go proclaiming it as a year of integrity and transformation for the Canadian people. You're saying, why? Why have the government do it? They got the best printing presses. Got the best newspapers. They got the best communication system. What we have on this planet right now is enough food to feed everybody, and not everybody's going to get fat. In fact, some people here, you don't need as much as you've been doing. That's okay. You're just storing up for lean times. I understand the idea. I used to do that too. And they said, how are we going to get all this food to everybody around this world when you said there's enough food to feed the whole world? And I said, it's very simple. The same way we get bombs and guns and tanks to all these other people, we load up these ships with food and we distribute it and we let the generals oversee the distribution of it because they're so good. Here in Canada, you have a military force and a police force that's so well organized that they could see that food is distributed to all the places that need it, and they know who needs it. The organizations are intact. Are they going to do it? Nope. Who's going to do it? We are. We are. We people who care, who have a voice, we're going to go talk to somebody. In fact, someone figured out that if we reach a person in such a way that they make a change in their life and they commit to a better world, and those two people go out and reach two more people and reach them in such a way that they change, transform, and make a commitment to a better world and those things that are going to make a better world, that in 32 days we can have reached every human being on this planet. If it took a week, in 32 weeks, would have reached them. If it took a year, in 32 years, we can have transformed this planet. Not John Roger, I'm not going to do it. I'm up here as an idea man, and I do touch people, and I reach into them, and I tell them, come on, you're needed. If you weren't needed, you wouldn't be on the planet. Everyone that is on this planet is needed. And if you don't know what your need is, volunteer it to somebody else who does know what the need is. And align your beingness up with somebody else. Even if it's to babysit to free somebody who's got twice your talent, then babysit that baby. That baby one day may be president. See, you never know when you're teaching a youngster who you're teaching. They may be the attorney that keeps you out of jail 30 years from now. They may be the judge who sits up there and says, hi, I'm not going to sentence you to 40 years in jail. You changed my diapers. You get 20 days off for good behavior. For the diaper rash, you pay a $50 fine. Since we don't know who that person is, wouldn't it be to our advantage and to their advantage to treat them with the respect of a position that they may occupy? Here's even one better. How about treating them the position that they do occupy, called the beloved, called the spirit of life living in and through the body. It's so unique. It is marvelous. It is so fantastic that when we see somebody being hurt, we hurt so deeply we stop the hurt. We have people who have reached this place in their life now where they are saying, there will be no more of these things happening ever again, and I will die in its place to prove it to be so. I'm sure many of you remember the Buddhist monks who said, no more, and they burned themselves. We go, what a crazy thing to do. Except people who were on that edge of doing something in this world became so outraged that a person had to do that to make somebody else pay attention. That groups started forming years ago, little groups, people saying, what can we do? We can't do anything, we're just 4 people. But what you don't know is that there are 4 people groups all over this world, not just in Canada, in the United States, in South America, in Australia, in England, in Europe. I've talked to them. I've been around with them. I've seen them. Does that make me a revolutionary? No, I am an evolutionist. Let's evolve this whole planet by transforming ourselves first, reaching out to the person and showing them that transformation is possible by living the loving integrity. I call it loving-re, because you got to put your body on the line with it. You can't just say, I love you, and then watch them die. You got to say, I love you, and then pick them up and do the things necessary to assist them. And we start doing that. The professions are changing. All of our congressmen, all of our senators, all of our Supreme Court justices, all the mayors in cities from 15,000 or higher all know about the concept of personal integrity. We wrote them letters. We told them. We said, we want your help. We want to do this. Over 30 states proclaimed September 24th International Personal Day of Integrity on September 24th, and they're going to do it again next year. We're trying to get 1984, the United Nations, to do it. Somebody told me George Orwell already spoke for it as Big Brother year. I said, are you going to push the cause? He said, no. I said, then push personal integrity and transformation. The Olympics people in the United States are considering, we're in contact with them, of having something of personal integrity in the Olympics, which is what that's all about. And maybe giving a medal to that athlete who maybe doesn't win the gold medal, but has the greatest integrity in whatever he does. And somehow they'll see it. We've got Olympic historians who can look back and say, there was integrity, there was integrity, there it was, there it was. In Mexico City, one man ran 28 kilometers, came in last 2 hours after the race was over. It was dark. And some company stayed there, and I ran into the man who photographed it. He told me the story. I'd seen it on TV, and he had been limping, and they told him, you don't have to do this. If you quit, it won't be a shame. Everybody knows it's over. You can stop. And that man came from that place inside that I call integrity. And he came down the ramp, which was the hardest part for him. And he came down across the finish line, and he made one more line around the track, as the winners do, as they all did. And as he hit that track, his pace picked up. His face transformed. They got it on film. It's majestic. The man who would have won the Integrity Award, because he did what it took to finish up amidst all the odds. When everybody said stop, he had the courage to go with the truth as he knew it, as a heartfelt response. And that's the definition that we use as integrity, having caring and consideration for other people. Berush Beshan.